Okay, let's get into it. We're looking at the top 22 HBCUs heading into 2021, 2022. Let me get this out the way. I have no affiliation to any of these colleges or universities. I'm here to help seniors make an informed decision about where they should go. Obviously, there's way more HBCUs than are shown on this list, and any senior that finds an HBCU that's not on this list that they like, I have no problem with it. Make an informed decision. I'm here to just guide you in that direction. Um, obviously, obviously, you can't go wrong choosing an HBCU. I think right now, this was very important for me to get out there because obviously last year there wasn't that many college fairs, and if there were, they were virtual. This year for these high school seniors, it looks like it's going to be the same thing. The list, it looks like it's going to be virtual again, and some might not happen. For me, when I was coming out, there was so many different HBCUs coming and PWIs and college fairs. I was able to make an informed decision about what was the right path for me to go. I don't know if there's going to be college fairs where you're going to have every HBCU represented. I'm here to just relay some of the things that some of these HBCUs offers over others, and hopefully it can lead you guys in the right direction. This is an overall, like what is the best HBCU overall, but it does include a number of so many different academic factors. So like we looked at best HBCUs for nursing, business, and other factors, which includes which HBCUs offer arts, performing arts, liberal arts, law, STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, biological science, physical sciences, engineering, computer science. So this is not what is the best HBCU off of like school spirit or pride or anything like that. This is more of an academic focus. Now, obviously, with this being a sports channel, I have to plug a couple sporting events. The first sporting event I want to talk about is the Red Tails Classic. That is going to be between Tuskegee and Fort Valley State. This game is going to be appearing on one of the ESPN networks. It's huge that we support HBCUs in this game. By people watching, we can get more eyeballs on the screen. We can get more people interested in HBCU football. Hopefully this can air more, as Deion Sanders said. Some of these networks got to step up. ESPN is not black owned, but they're stepping up to the plate. They're going to be airing this game, which I'm very excited for. We get to see some HBCU football, and hopefully some guys can step up and put themselves in position that they can get the attention of some NFL scouts. The second game I want to pay attention to is the HBCU Classic between Central State University and Kentucky State University. This event will be held in Columbus, Ohio at the Horseshoe, where Ohio State plays. And this is an event that is huge because in the Midwest, obviously, you see a lot of HBCUs in the South. The Midwest is coming to the capital of Ohio, which is Columbus. The Horseshoe can have over 100,000 people there. I don't think it's going to be 100,000 people at the game, but this is a great event, and it's a great spotlight to even add a bigger venue. I think both of these are very important that people support because, again, HBCUs matter, and I think, sports and HBCUs, they go hand in hand, just like Battle of the Bands. They play a huge factor, and they bring a lot of excitement and a lot of joy, and that joy is just going to be spread out on a bigger basis where more people can see. Now, let's get into the best HBCUs, the top 22 HBCUs in 2021-2022. This was something I think was very important to look at. These HBCUs stand out because they offer so many different things, or they do something that's really specific that warrants them being on this list. Now, if you were to Google different categories, academic categories, you're going to get so many different websites, so many different lists that it's kind of hard that you really get a true consensus on what is the best at which. One of those you have that are kind of hard to really put a finger on are STEM majors. STEM is very tough because it includes so many different categories. You can do biological sciences, physical sciences, and you just get difference of opinions there. But overall, if we're just looking at the best STEM majors, the top 5, you would have Alabama A&M, North Carolina A&T at 4, Howard at 3, FAMU at 2, and Jackson State at 1. So many different things offered. If you look at FAMU, they have great, you can have, they're top 50, in terms of biological science. They're top 50 in terms of physical science. They're top 50 in math. So right here, if you were to go to FAMU, you have an opportunity of getting not only a great education, but a great science education. And then another thing that was kind of hard to get a finger on was fine arts, or just fine arts overall. You have fine arts, you have performing arts, you have liberal arts, and different websites score universities in different ways. Some publications had Howard as the number 1 school that was offering arts. Some had Howard number 1 that was offering performing arts. And then for liberal arts, Spelman was listed at number 1. So just getting different opinions, you have to figure out how to average them out, and then you look at North Carolina A&T and you look at Bowie State University. They were flip-flopped on different websites in terms of what specific arts the university offers. I think there's a lot of great programs out here, and we can just talk about them. If you talk about liberal arts, the top 5 liberal arts schools are Spelman, NCAT, Fisk, Delaware State, and Fayetteville State. Another school that got honorable mention was Tougaloo University. For performing arts, Howard was 1, Hampton was 2, FAMU was 3, Xavier was 4, Bowie State was 5, North Carolina A&T got honorable mention. Offering arts overall, Howard was number 1, Hampton was number 2, FAMU was number 3, Xavier was number 4, North Carolina A&T was 5. Bowie State got honorable mention. If you want an opportunity to go into law, Howard, if you average out all the different publications, Howard was number 1, Hampton was number 2, FAMU was number 3, North Carolina Central was number 4, Grambling State was number 5. If we're looking at overall, there's different STEM majors, so you had to really just incorporate so many, so I'll get to that last. If we're talking for business majors, if you want to be a business major, Howard is the number 1 business school in terms of for HBCU. Number 2 would be Hampton. Number 3 would be Morehouse. Number 4 would be Bowie State. Number 5 would be Tuskegee. If you're going into nursing, the top 5 HBCUs for nursing, number 1 would be ALCORN State University. Number 2 would be Charles R. Drew. Number 3 would be Howard. Number 4 would be North Carolina A&T. Number 5 would be Bowie State. In terms of psychology, the top 5 HBCU schools for psychology, number 1 was Howard. Number 2 was FAMU. Number 3 was Spelman. Number 4 was Bowie State. And number 5 was Winston-Salem State University. Again, for STEM, the top 5 was number 1 was Jackson State University. Number 2 was FAMU. Number 3 was Howard. Number 4 was NCAT. And number 5 was Alabama AAMU. Now, different other publications had North Carolina A&T as the number 1 school for STEM majors. Then they had number 2 was FAMU. Number 3 was Alabama AAMU. Number 4 they had Howard. And number 5 they had Jackson State. Now, let's get into the STEM majors. So Jackson State, they're top 5 for biological sciences and physical sciences, and they rank top 25 overall for math and engineers. Now, when you look at Howard, they're top 50 in every STEM category except computer science, but they are top 10 in engineer studies. Then when you look at Bowie State, three out of 5 categories they rank top 50 overall in the nation. And then for North Carolina A&T, they rank number 1 for engineers for black engineers in the United States of America. So if you want to become an engineer, North Carolina A&T is the right place to go. They're also top 25 in physical sciences, and they're top 50 in biological sciences. Alabama and AAMU, they are top 50 in computer sciences. They're top 50 in math. They're top 50 in engineering. And then other categories, you can look at the campuses. So the top 5 or the top 6 campuses, number 1's campus overall, the consensus was that Howard has the best campus out of all the HBCUs. Number 2, Spelman had the second best campuses out of the HBCUs. Number 3, Xavier had the best campuses. Number 4 was Hampton. Number 5 was Fisk. And the number 6 campus consensus was North Carolina Central University. So these are just some categories that include some of these HBCUs. Other factors that include lists, they had some of the just best overall what they offer. You have North Carolina A&T was number 1. AAMU was number 2. Bowie State was number 3. Tennessee State was number 4. Jackson State was number 5. If you would like to know the academic scale, if you were in an academic category, if an institution was 1, they got 1,000 points. If they were 2, they got 800 points. If they were 3, they got 700 points. If they were 4, they got 500 points. If they were 5, they had 250 points. And if they were 6, they had 200 points. So this was a non-biased opinion. It was just strictly what was the overall consensus and overall rank of people, and just overall what it can do for not only you as a current student and future. And that's how you got to the list. Now, we're looking at any institution. A big thing to remember is just tuition. This list does not factor in tuition. It doesn't factor in scholarships, ACT requirements, or anything like that. This is for what it offers you. If you were to admit to one of these schools trying to major in any of these things, where does it stack up against others? A big thing I would advise college seniors to do right now, especially if you're watching this video, is to apply for scholarships. Apply for scholarships, and also know that if you are an out-of-state student, it is very expensive. Obviously, the southern states offer more HBCUs. If you look at, obviously west of the Mississippi River or the Midwest, there's not that many HBCUs offer. So obviously, you're more than likely going to be paying out-of-state fees. But again, there are so many great HBCUs. There's so many great people. There's so many great reasons why you should go to HBCU. I believe, wherever you go is where you go, but you can't ever go wrong with HBCU. And I would urge every senior in high school to just look at an HBCU. Look at it, see what they offer, especially if they offer you some scholarships. They might offer you more than a PWI. And if you have the opportunity to go to HBCU, I feel like make an informed decision. I try to give you some numbers or where these stack up. And these are not just out of all the HBCUs. We're talking nationally, where some of these institutions rank nationally, which is huge. It's not just compared against HBCUs. We're talking against PWIs, where some of these schools are top 50 in overall categories, or what they are in specific areas, which is huge. That at HBCU, obviously, they don't have the funding that certain PWIs get. So for them to be top 50 just shows you that they're doing something right. And hopefully, if we get some more African Americans at these HBCUs, those top 50 rankings can go up to that top 10 and top 5. Obviously, you see North Carolina A&T being number 1 for black engineers is huge. Just had to give them a shout out, because that is huge. You see some of these institutions, have top 10 rankings. Jackson State being top 5, for physical science and biological sciences. So it it doesn't matter where you go. It's ultimately how you conduct yourself in these HBCUs, showing that they are a loving and caring community and they're going to be there for you. Now, the decision is ultimately up to you. Don't forget to support the Red Tails Classic and the HBCU Classic coming this football season.